guys, today today I'm gonna react to this video I saw, and it's written, I fed cow eyes to my fire.
I figured
I
now
just
was the perfect time
let's see.
to bust these in. Peekaboo, these are eyeballs. Beef eyeballs. So they belong to a cow. They would have been passed on to a scrap meat factory. But I figured, hey, why don't we put them to even better use and feed them to ants?
Guys,
So I convinced my local butcher to give them to me for a cheap price. Now, aside from
Do
them
I
being
show
atrociously gross looking, I never really quite knew what eyeballs actually looked like in real life. I mean, we always see eyeballs in horror movies and such, but seeing them now in the flesh and holding them in my hand, I was quite surprised and intrigued, taking in their feel and anatomy. Have any of you ever held an eyeball in your hand? It's an
no.
odd organ, and I'm sure was even more odd on the inside, which I couldn't wait to see and learn about when I fed them to my beloved ant colony.
But it
We
was
call
the
the Crimson Knights, fire ants. If there was an ant species that I knew could devour these eyeballs, it would be fire ants. This here is the Crimson Knights, our massive fire ant colony that right now was busy burying a chicken foot, which I gave them to eat yesterday. These fire ants have quite the appetite for meat. Here is a leftover pigeon skull from the pigeon I fed them in last week's video. Here the fire ants are carrying grains of sand up to bury the second chicken leg I also gave them. The ants have begun setting up excavation pits like a chain of mines, lugging up the sand grains, which to the ants are like huge rocks, to cover the pieces of chicken feet. The ants naturally do
animals
this when they find food
and
in order
giving
to bury
them
their
to
food and conceal it from
ants.
scavengers that might steal the meat from them, and also to suck up the juices from the meat to help dry them out a bit, making them easier to work around. Tirelessly, the Crimson Knights worked around the clock gathering these sand grains in order to bury their meat pieces, as this was a matter of their survival. While some ants work at the burial process, other ants have already begun to feed on the chicken feet little by little. But the Crimson Knights have grown so big now that these two chicken feet are not enough. Their appetite for meat seems insatiable now. But no worries, I've got something new for our fire ants. Oh, Crimson Knights, have I got a present for you? Guys, the time has come. Let's do this.
Oh
I've
my
fixated the eyeballs onto the surface of their mountain home, and as I watch the eyes staring out in an expression of worry, as the beginning streams of fire ant trails began to inspect the new meat that had dropped in from the skies. And the first fire ant began to twerk as it released the first cloud of I found food pheromones. I knew we and our beloved fire ants were in for the perfect Halloween treat. But little did I know, the unexpected result of this great eyeball fire ant feeding would turn out to be the biggest surprise of them all. Welcome to the Ants Canada Ant Channel. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. And see you at my New Jersey meeting booth this October 22nd. Visit thearchild.com for tickets. Enjoy. The fire ant swarm came pouring down the mountain once news of the new eyeballs had reached the colony in the mountain. What was extra exciting for the fire ants was the unique flavor of this meat. It was their very first taste of beef, and clearly already a hit with the ants. But you guys will love what they ultimately did with these beef eyeballs. And if you're like me and didn't know much about eyeball anatomy, you'll surely be awestruck.
Should I be watching
what you'll see as the video progresses through this ant feeding process. So keep on watching until the end. I love that the ants seem to be thrilled about these new eyeballs, despite already having two chicken feet. It comes to show you how hungry the fire ant colony really is. It's no wonder these colonies get so big and dangerous in the wild. Now, in case you're new and
You
just
call
joining
kidney.
us, these fire ants of
Do you
ours were raised from just a single
what do you
pregnant
call
queen ant
kidney?
that I caught
Or
during a
is it
nuptial
just
flight earlier
English?
this year. It's amazing
Okay,
to think that this
why
colony
is it
is
hard?
only about 8
One of
months
my
old.
kidneys are
This fire
hurting.
ant colony is still a baby colony. Imagine how big they can get 1 year from now. Yes, I'm insane to be housing them in an open concept setup like this, which has a talcum barrier to keep the ants from escaping, which hasn't been escape proof 100% of the time. But I now use a lethal chalk to keep escapees from reporting back to the colony on weaknesses in the barrier.
When
Despite my constant struggle to keep them contained,
I
I
cry,
always loved keeping
but
fire ants as
sometimes
pets. They're just incredible to
laugh,
watch.
but
And every time I do, it's like I'm peeking into a city of humans, all just going about their business without them knowing I'm
where
around
is
watching them.
animal review?
Oh, how odd that tonight's menu seems to be watching me
Why
back
he
though.
giving that
Why did you feed me?
techniques on? I
Why?
always
Sorry,
heard
cow.
that techniques
So
on.
is nature.
It's like
And the Crimson Knights fittingly love red
yeah,
meat,
that's the
it seems.
a song
My
he
eyes
always
wandered
puts in
down
his
at a camp of
video.
ants tugging at
Like,
some meat flaps. Wow,
like that.
look at
Why
them
he
stretching it
putting
out
that
like a
in?
blanket. Once
I
they
don't know that
manage to
song.
cut
I
this
just
loose,
think
they'll be bringing
thought
this whole blanket of
technique-
flesh back to their nest.
technique
Speaking of which, guys,
made it or
for those of
something.
you wondering where their nest is, I'll show you that in a second. They're nesting in a place they completely set up that I never planned for them to nest in. It seemed none of the ants were interested in the cornea, that transparent outer part of the eye. The ants were mostly interested in the surrounding meat, but I knew in time the ants would discover it. Suddenly, I noticed
I
the
can't
ants
watch
were
this
beginning
anymore.
to gather
I can't watch
pieces of
this
debris.
anymore. I can't watch this anymore, bro. Bruh. Okay, guys, now I'm gonna find a video. Oh wow. Yeah, why for